everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today on my channel. So happy to have you here. Always so grateful that you have subscribed and are following the different videos and are sharing with your friends and loved ones. So always so grateful that we are growing this community, and after all, that's what I have intended for it to be, and to continue to elevate each other and help each other continue to be the best versions of ourselves that we can be. So with that, we're going to be diving into today's topic, which is the winning frequency. And so for those of you who have worked with me in the past, you know that I do a lot of energy work. I'm very focused on frequency and frequencies matching, and what happens when they're a mismatch or they're not aligned. We begin to see things happen not only in our own life, in our personal life, but we start to see things kind of fall apart because there's a mismatch. It's not aligned. It's not working together. It's in contradiction. It's like two magnets repelling each other. And so when we realize that energy is everything, right? Everything has energy. And then that everything holds a frequency, then we can understand how this winning frequency, or what a winning frequency could mean, and how we apply that in our lives, and how we can use that in the different areas of our lives and in the relationships that we hold true to our hearts. So one of the things for you to just have a clear understanding of what I mean by frequency and vibration, think about music, right? So you can be hearing some very nice calming music, meditation music, classical music, and it's going to do something to you, right? You're going to feel something in your body, and it's going to feel quite calming for the most part. However, when you hear music that is different, right? Music that is maybe something like metal rock, or you hear something like hip hop, or you're going to hear there's something different happening within your body because the frequency of that particular music does something to you, right? So when we're aware, right, of our environment, and we're aware of the frequency that is happening in our own homes, in the offices that we frequent, in our businesses, in the partnerships, the people that work for us, or the executives, when we understand that people are also projecting a certain vibration, a certain frequency, then we get to decide, okay, does this align with me, or do I feel misaligned from this environment, from these people, from this person, from this place? And why that is so important is because frequency also has something to do with our nervous system. And our nervous system helps us to stay calm, right? It's our nervous system. We can either stay calm and relaxed and serene and be able to make decisions with that energy, right? And so when we have that kind of energy, which I've spoken to all of you about in the boardroom meditation and in the boardroom videos, is exactly that. Are you going into this transaction all frazzled and can't even think clearly of how you're going to get through this transaction, or what happens if it doesn't go through, or what happens if that deal doesn't happen, what happens if I can't buy that house, that property, what happens next, right? And so in that energy of feeling frazzled and so nervous, our nervous system does get affected. And when we're aware of how we can do better about being aligned to these environments and holding the frequency, the highest frequency. And so what would a high frequency look like or feel like? So think about when there's clarity in your mind, when you can make decisions knowing that everything is going to be okay. Right? Just by saying that, your body begins to calm, your shoulders begin to drop, your heart begins to open, your mind feels more at ease, right? Your heart is not palpitating, it feels calmness. And the same is the opposite, right? If everything is doomsday, everything is bad, everything is something bad is going to happen, or I'm in trouble, or I'm going to lose my job, or I'm going to lose this marriage, or something's going to happen to one of my kids, and If that's the energy that you are living in, then that is definitely not a winning frequency. And this is not only applied to yourself internally, but understand that the people around you, this is the energy they're receiving from you. So I've talked about in some of these videos I've addressed, and I will bring it up again now, when we're in that energy of chaos and confusion because we can't think straight, right? Because somehow, like people say, and I hear this all the time, the next shoe is going to drop, just waiting for the next shoe to drop. Well, that's no way of living. That's no way of being calm and peaceful. That's you calling in, very intentionally, just calling in for something bad to happen. And if you don't have something bad happen, you will see that something good could be something bad, right? You're going to see it as something bad, although it's something good. And when we are in this mindset, in this energy, in this consciousness that everything in my life shows up exactly the way that it's supposed to, and it wouldn't show up unless I was ready and prepared to take care of it. Right? There's always a way to negotiate things. There's always a way to use your words, right? Use them very intentionally to get matters handled. Whether it's something that's happening in school with one of your kids, whether it is one of your kids, whether it's something happening with one of your with your spouse, one of your spouses. No, just one spouse. Something that's happening with your spouse and you just can't come to terms with having that conversation. Well, it needs to happen, right? So that you can clear the air, clear the frequency, clear the vibration of your house, of your room, of your home. When you do that also with family members, so often this is one of the more challenging relationships that we have is with our family of origin, right? Our family, not the family you created, but the family that you were born into. Because just the way that you were brought up or your siblings and somehow you continue to talk to each other in the same way, well, it's like, wait, we're not the same people. So, okay, there you go. So bring in a new frequency, a new vibration, a higher vibration where you can both have, or you can all have these conversations around what's happening in the family and coming from a place of love and holding that energy for those around you. But if everyone is spewing and everybody's in contradiction and everybody is accusing each other of something, that's dense. That's a very dense energy. That's very low. That's a low vibration. That's a low frequency. You don't win anything ever when you're in a low frequency. There's nothing good that's going to come in by you thinking the worst that is going to happen. The worst that can happen is that's not going to help you elevate yourself, and then so that you can bring in that calmness not only to your body, but you can bring that calmness to the people around you. You can bring that calmness in your conversations. So it's interesting because how I know all of this is because I've been in many different types of situations. One of them being that I was a mediator working with high conflict families back in the day. And I realized that I had to be present with holding my highest frequency when working with these families that were all coming in. Everybody was ready to just slam each other with bad words, with accusations, with criticism and judgment. Everybody was in there for the war, right? Or they thought they were. And the way that I had my office set up, it was very calming. It was a wellness center where I would mediate. This was my wellness center back in the day. And I had a couple of rooms set up for mediation. And the moment that they walked in, everybody felt more relaxed. Everybody felt the aroma that was being used at the time. And so it smelled very much like lavender. There was a lot of lavender in the space, very calming. There was also soothing music, right? There was nothing loud, nothing rowdy, very soothing music. So before they even came in to their mediation with me, their nervous system, right? Just because of the environment that I had set up, the lighting was also nice and dim. It was nice and soft. There was soft lighting. And so they would just sit there and wait, right, for their turn, right, for me to pull them into the office and have the conversation and start the mediation. By the time they came into the office, everybody was in a different mood. Everybody was in a different consciousness. And we hadn't even spoken. Nothing was said. It was just the environment that was set up for them to come to a relaxing place where now we can have clarity. Everybody had more clarity in their mind. Everybody was a little bit more open. I'm not saying that they didn't still fight or they didn't still argue, but it was different, right? It was more respectful. Everybody understood that not anybody there was going to walk away with everything. That was just not going to happen. And that was my opener. It was like, there's no way that you're going to walk away with everything. So just allow that information to seep through and sit with that. And we're all going to be here collaboratively to work together to see what is the best interest of your children, right? Because this was for families. I was working on helping the kids. But it was like magic, right? To have this environment set up for this couple or these family members. Some of them were already in their second or third marriages, right? So their spouses would come in also. I wanted to invite everybody. Why? Because we were going to be transparent. We were going to be clean. Everybody was going to have a say-so. Everybody was going to be able to speak their time. But it had to come with respect. It had to come with collaboration. And it had to come from a calm place. So the environment was already set up for them to have that kind of experience. It's funny because then I usually have people lingering. It's like, no, you gotta go. Like, it's time for you to leave. Like, we're done now. And, they just wanted to just stay there and relax and consume the energy that was in the wellness center. And so why I'm sharing this with you all today is because the environment you set at home is the environment that you're all going to experience. The environment that you set in the office is also what you're all experiencing. This is what is being exchanged and interchanged. And so when you have a team of people in your company, in your firm, or you're part of a team, or you're in sales, and everybody is looking to elevate each other. Why? Because they feel this high frequency, this high vibration. We're all in it to win, and not winning from a place of greed or competitiveness, but because we want to win, we want to feel better, we want to all elevate ourselves. Because when you're working with a team, when one person wins, everybody wins, right? And we want to be able to distribute the not only the energy, right, but for everybody to be holding that frequency. So it's not that one person is doing all the work and then everybody's collecting a check, right? That's not what we're doing here. And so when you're in this understanding and awareness, how does my home feel? How does my office feel? How can I make it feel more inviting? Do I have a lot of clutter? When I walk into my house or my place of business, am I like, oh my goodness, I've got to clean this, I've got to clean that, I've got to move this, I've got to move that. I'm going to ask you also to do that in your wardrobe. Are there pieces of clothing in your closet that you haven't worn in 30 years or 5 years or whatever, and you're never going to wear it? And you know that, right? Because we always know. And you're not making room for the next, right? The next door to open, the next opportunity, the next wardrobe, right? The next look, the next style. And so when you're so caught up in this recycling of the same, then you're in a dense, low vibration. And so there's no judgment. I'm just sharing the words. I'm not saying this about anyone in particular. I'm inviting you all to take a look, feel into what is in your environment, feel what's in your space. If you're holding on to things because, oh, so-and-so gave it to me and I can't get rid of it. I can't get rid of it. That's not my question, right? My question to you would be, do you want to get rid of it? And if you got rid of it, what would that look like for you, right? Because sometimes it's okay to get rid of something somebody gave us, even though maybe we have, the sentimental value to it. But if it doesn't feel good in your space anymore, with love, set it free, let it go, donate it, share it. Maybe someone else in the family wants to take that heirloom, that piece, that item, that piece of whatever furniture or decoration, whatever that is. What I'm saying is, the most important part of all of this is to be aware of where you're at in terms of how you feel, what in your environment feels good, and then what in your environment doesn't. When you're walking into a mess, right, when people sometimes have the tendency of just running out, not doing their bed, they got to go, the kids do too, and then they all walk back home in the afternoon and no beds were done, everything's a mess, dishes aren't done, and again, not from a place of judgment, only from a place of love. What happens is that this energy of chaos is then distributed around everybody. And what happens in chaos is things get lost. We don't know where things are at. We don't feel like inviting or happy to get back home. It's like, oh my gosh, I forgot the dishes this morning, or I have to do this, or I have to do that. And so you are culminating all of this anxiety, all of this stress. Your nervous system is definitely shot, right? You're not calm. There's nothing calm about feeling that you have to run around doing things because you're ready for the next activity, or because you've got to get ready to cook, or you've got to get ready to set the table, or you got to sit and make sure that the kids are doing their homework. So whatever that is, when you can have the awareness, then you can do something about it. And that's really what I'm doing here, is bringing it all to front and center. Just take a look. If your home doesn't feel like you would like it to feel, or you're complaining, oh, I haven't cleaned in a while and I really need to get to that. And so do it. Do it. You know why? Because you owe it to yourself. Because that's going to elevate your vibration, your frequency. Think about when you're in a place that you need to clean, or hasn't been cleaned in a while, and then you clean it. Like, oh my God, this feels so great. Like, I wish it always felt this way, right? So make that the habit. Make that the routine. Make that a pattern. Make that part of your everyday. If you've got kids, get everybody involved. Your spouse, like, everybody should be working towards this same goal. Why? Because, and you can tell them this, because they're going to raise their vibration and they're going to increase their frequency. And guess what? Kids are doing homework. So that in itself, for them to have the clarity that they're not in a messy place, in a messy space, or a dirty home, like, that in itself is going to be very helpful for everyone. Because this is what is happening in the field, in the energy, in our environment that is unspoken. We don't know why in some people's houses or in some places we feel great. And in other places, like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to just get out of here. It's because of that. It's because the frequency is not aligned or matching your frequency. And so I'm going to invite you to take a look and feel where you actually feel like you're holding a high frequency and vibration, and what are the places, spaces, people, conversations that don't make you feel like you're having that high vibration and frequency. So that as you know this, you can begin to realign yourself, right? To only or mostly being around people, places, environments, and situations that help you hold this higher frequency. And then your winning frequency is turned on and it's tuned in, right? That's the goal. That's what we all want, because guess what? When you're holding that frequency, everyone can feel it. Everyone gets to enjoy it. Why? Because your light is bright. That light of your aura is bright. It feels good. It feels inviting. People want to be around you. When you speak, people will listen. Because there's something that dominates the field when someone is holding so much light. People want to hear from you. They want to know more. It's like, oh, tell me more. Share what you're feeling. Share how it is that you feel so good all the time. Like, business isn't doing so well, or, we didn't get that deal. Like, that deal didn't close. How come you're so happy, right? It's because nothing outside of you can take this frequency, this energy, this love, this vibration away from you unless you give it permission, unless you do that to yourself. It's like, no, we didn't get this deal. We didn't close on this transaction because, there's a reason why that didn't happen. And it's because there's a better one coming in. I say that all the time. That door closed because there's a better one coming in. And it always happens. It always happens. It's a bigger, better, more evolved, right? That doorway, that opportunity is exactly what I thought I wanted 10 times bigger. Because that's the universe, that's the law. And so when you're holding that energy, frequency, and vibration of being elevated, of winning, of having this calmness in your nervous system, that you can hold this frequency, you can hold this intention, you can hold this vibration, and you can share it because your light is so bright, life is good. And you're going to begin to see, I can't wait to hear from all of you, the magic and the miracles that are going to begin to open up in your life. I know this because this is my life. This is how I've shifted, pivoted, elevated so many things in my life to be who I am and where I'm at today. And so I'm only inviting you to do what I've done myself. I will never share anything with you that I haven't gone through myself, good, bad, and ugly. So whatever you're listening to is because I've gone through something very similar. I've gone through something very much aligned, and I'm sharing from experience. I'm sharing from love, compassion, and from wanting the best for each and every one of you out there. So this is your role now to step into your greatness and to be in this beautiful energy of this winning frequency. And I'd love to hear you and hear about you and hear from you on all of the wins that you're going to be having this next week, starting today. So anyway, till the next time, so grateful for all of you. Much love to you all. Thank you.